Let me start off by saying that this is the first time I feel so tall at a conference. Usually they don't give me a podium this high to sit on. I'm David Dang. I work for a company called Zenergy Technologies. And so I'm going to start off by saying, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So if you have questions or anything, stop me anytime. I do have to tell you I have a psychology degree. So what that means is, if we don't like this topic, we can certainly talk about psychology and how crazy we are. All right? You're going to know more about me than you ever cared for, just to let you guys know that. All right? A little bit of background about myself. I started out a long time ago as a COBOL DB2 CICS developer. Most of you guys are way too young to even know what that is, right? Yeah, you know what I'm talking about, right? And when you talk about running a job, you're talking about running a job, all right? So I was in a lot of maintenance role and all that stuff, and then I got into QA about a long time ago. Again, I don't want to age myself that much. And did manual testing for a while, and then got into test automation. Now, how many people know what test automation is first? Kind of, sort of? Good, that's really good. That's a good turnout for that. For those that doesn't really know, it's really simple. Test automation is writing code to test code. Yeah, I mean, I try to tell my parents that, but basically they tell everyone else I work with computers, right? Because just the concept of, but if you know about test automation, it's nothing more than, like in Excel, you can write a macro that does something automatically. We do that, but we interact with the application itself, all right? And I've been doing test automation for, okay, I'm going to age myself, I guess, the last 17 years, okay? Start out, doing test automation using commercial toolset. All right, so for those who know automation, you know about WinRunner, QGP, all those, you know what I'm talking about. In the last 5 years or so, the market have really kind of gone to open source, right? And about 3 years, a lot of companies is doing Jenkins integration, all right? And the reason I make this topic is I really want to kind of talk to you guys about how we can leverage Jenkins so that we can get the most benefit out of test automation. All right? And again, stop me anytime, all right? I feel like the Matrix here, because every time I walk, that thing's like right on my face. So, again, stop me if you have any questions, all right? So, what we want to talk about? We kind of want to talk about a little bit about the background of the project that I just got off, all right? Why we select certain tools to get this accomplished, all right? And then also, what are some of the planning aspects that go into a test automation project? And then the outcome. And of course, right, any presentation in a Jenkins conference, you gotta have a demo. And there's gonna be a live demo, I hope it runs. All right? And then of course, any conclusions and stuff like that. All right? So, the first thing is, as you know, the market is really moving toward what we call all this thing called digital channel and continuous integration. Right? So it's pretty funny because I actually went to a CI conference. I still have the t-shirt about 6 years ago. And the conference was only literally 30 people. Okay? And now it's like, you can't talk about continuous integration without mentioning Jenkins or TeamCity or some other, right? Because companies are moving toward that direction. Also, from an application standpoint, companies are moving toward what we call digital channel. Have you guys ever heard of that term? Digital channel is this. It's basically doing things that are basically either web-based or mobile-based, right? How many people have a smartphone? No. How many people still have a flip phone? Oh, wow. Okay, that's pretty good. Because I just finished speaking, not finished, but a few months ago, I was at Star East, which is a huge QA conference, right? And every time I ask that question, there's always one holdout. One person that still have a flip phone, all right? But digital channel is basically the ability, right, to build something that are both on the web, okay, like the desktop web, and the mobile, right? How many people shop online? Right? Now, 3 years ago, ago, you're gonna go to your laptop, right? But now, guess what most people do? I think I might have done, but I'm loud. Now, most people, last Christmas, I did most of my shopping on what? Tablet and my phone, right? So I'm sitting at the airport, and I'm like, ooh, 3 more days till global shipping, right? So I'm like buying stuff, right? So that's kind of what we're getting to. We're getting to a point where the line between desktop, okay, web application versus mobile, okay, ooh, the mood have changed. All right, have really blurred, right? And a lot of companies combine those into what we call digital channel. All right. Now think about it, right? You also have the Android watch and the iWatch. Those are all considered digital channel. Make sense? All right. Now, how do we keep up with that, right? So think about this. Let's say that you built a web application, right? In the past, if I built a web application, I have to test on Firefox, Chrome, IE, Safari, right? So we're not even going to throw in the version, right? Because, Firefox 38, right? 37, 35, you see what I'm saying? Now, if you add that to mobile, right? Think about how many mobile devices you have to test against. It's crazy, right? All that kind of lumped into digital channel. So most companies have to leverage test automation. And then on top of that, companies are throwing agile on top. How many people their company are doing agile? Oh, nice, right? You are either doing agile or Scrumafall. Have you ever heard that term? Scrum and waterfall all in one, okay? All right? Or you hear the term miniature waterfall, right? Which is basically still waterfall, but they call it agile, right? Now, based on that, right, agile, the whole concept is you release every 2 to 3 weeks, right? You have some kind of code and you can do it. How are you going to catch that up from a testing perspective? So there's a lot of challenges, okay? And I'm going to go over some of the stuff. So the company I work with was a huge insurance company. I can't mention the name, all right? Because I signed this literally my life away, right? So if I tell you guys, I'm going to be arrested. I'm sure somebody's going to come in and arrest me, right? They are increasing their digital channel, web, mobile, wearable, all right? They are agile, all right? Now, a lot of companies call agile, but they still have a little work on agile. I want to be clear on that because, again, true agile is collaborations and all that stuff. They still have a little bit on QA versus development, right? Which is not agile. We're supposed to be collaborating, right? Development use Jenkins for CI. That's why I'm here, okay? They do checking code, right, and do the build, okay, through a continuous integration. They want to leverage open source, okay? Again, the market has really turned in the last 3-4 years to open source because, again, they want to be agile, they want to use tools that are lightweight, that doesn't have licensing and stuff like that, all right? And then they have some automated unit testing, all right? Now, how many people in here are in configuration management and stuff like that? Okay, how many people are development? Okay, how many people are QA? All right, we have a good mix here, so I can't talk bad about any of those groups. All right, got it. All right, we can talk bad about the business. All right, yay. Uh-oh, somebody's a business here. Product owner. All right, so they'd have some unit level testing. And again, in an agile world, from a QA perspective, we always encourage companies to do unit level testing because, again, the amount of changes that go through, it's almost impossible to test everything from a UI perspective. You have to test it from a unit level, right? And again, Gartner did a great study of many years back, right? If you can just catch 80% of your defect in unit testing, right, you're going to have much cleaner code when you get to QA, right, and then UAT and whatever else, all right? What else? What they want, all right? They want one automated script to run across browser and desktop. Now, the only way this is going to work is the website they create was responsive web design. Does anybody know what responsive web design is? You guys heard of that term? Right? Great, okay?
in the past, this is what happened. If I go to like CNN.com, right, and I do it on my laptop, it would be what we call a full site, right? But if I look it up on my phone, it have a little M in front of it to indicate mobile, right? Now the problem with that is you still have two websites you got to maintain, right? Now lately, companies have moved to responsive web design, right? Isn't that a cool name? Responsive. I'm responsive, okay? And all that means is they're creating a site that is smart enough to know what is the display resolution and adapt to that to optimize the display, the website. All right? Now, why is that important from an automation standpoint? Because it's not two separate websites, all the object level should be the same. Make sense? You guys know about object level, right? Like, for example, ID, XPath, all that fun stuff, right? They should be the same. Now, the only way we can create one automated script for both desktop browser and mobile browser is those objects are the same. If they're different, guess what? It's going to be very difficult to create one script to work on both sides. Make sense? All right? They want a subset of their automation suite to run as smoke tests, okay, as part of continuous integration. Everybody know what the term smoke test is? Find out? You know where that came from? This is what I've been told many, many years ago, okay? The term smoke test is back in the day where a computer is literally this room with transistors, right? And so every morning, someone come in there and turn on the power button, and they look for smoke, all right? What I mean by smoke is a bug. Remember that? We don't call it defects, right? We call it a bug, right? So a bug would get caught up in a transistor, right? And when they turn it on, guess what? Zap, all right? And a little puff of smoke comes up, right? So they're looking for that puff of smoke and say, ooh, that transistor is bad because it got shorted out. And they go find it and then pull it out and put a new one in, right? And that's why, again, I've been told at many conferences, David, you're crazy. That's urban legend, all right? The term doesn't come from that. But I like that story, so I'm telling it to you, all right? So anyway, that's where the term bugs and smoke tests come in. Smoke test is nothing more than testing the core functionality of your application, right? So what is the core functionality of our application? Take Amazon. You guys shop on Amazon? I hope so, right? Amazon just happened to be the biggest retailer, online retailer, right? So what would be a smoke test for you guys if you guys were to test Amazon? Can I log in? That's kind of important, right? What else? Search for a product. What else? That's, add things to your cart. Actually, the most important test case is not log in. The most important is checkout. Can I click on buy it? All right? Because where do you make the money? Not when people are doing search, right? It's making money when, of course, you have to be able to add to cart and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, how many times have you add to cart and say, change your mind? All right? And that's why all this e-commerce company have this thing called one-button purchase. All right? The reason for that is impulse buying. Okay? Impulse buying is big. All right? And that's where the psychology comes in. All right? Because like, you know, I'm at the airport getting delayed, right? And I'm going looking through deal news. I'm like, oh my God, I really need that back scratcher, right? Because I'm delayed, okay? So I'm going to go out to that website, and if they have a one-button purchase, guess what? It's purchased, right? But if I go through all this process, probably it's not going to be purchased. Make sense? All right? So they want smoke tests, all right? Now, we're going to talk about Jenkins in just a second, how that come into play, all right? They want timely reporting to make go or no-go decision, all right? Now, this is very important because, again, if a build fails, we don't want it to continue, right? Because, again, the whole concept behind continuous integration is that I will find the problem at the time that I check in my code. If, you know, in the old ways, right, it would be every Thursday, every other Thursday, I'm going to do a build, right? And developers have already made all these changes, and when there's a failure, we have to say, did Joe cause that failure, or is Mike cause that failure, or is that James that caused that failure, right? It's harder, but if I know that I check in the code, it does a build, it failed, guess whose fault is it? My fault. Does that make sense? All right. They want low maintenance for the automated script suite. Now, this is very important. For those who know automation, the biggest factor that automation fails is maintenance. It's not developing the code, okay? I can develop the code, no problem. But if every time I want to run, I have to somehow touch the code, that's going to be, it's funny because automation is kind of like the magic bullet, right? A lot of companies like, oh, I want test automation, right? I want test automation, right? And then when I go look at it, right, I do a lot of automation audit, and then they're like, oh, we have automation. And I'm like, all right, run it. They're like, oh, I can't run it yet. I got to go change this file, update this thing first, and do this. All right? Then I can run it. I'm like, how long does that take? It takes a few hours. I'm like, that's not automation. Okay? Again, if there's manual intervention, I got to say, there's always going to be some manual intervention, but you want to keep that as minimal as possible. Make sense? All right? And then also, here's a big one. How do I automate based on dynamic content? All right? Automation is really simple if you have what we call static content. All right? If I go out there and automate Wikipedia, I can automate like nobody's business, okay? But, you know, if I go out there and try to automate the stock quote, right? The stock number is going to change all the time, right? The object is going to change all the time. How do I automate that? That's a really difficult thing to get past. Make sense? All right, so what did we do? We know the background. We know the objective of the customer. So we know that they want to use open source. So we went out and get the alphabet soup, okay? This is what I call the alphabet soup, all right? And what this is kind of the two set we selected, all right? We have Eclipse with Java, okay? We have Jenkins, which is why I'm here. We have TestNG, ReportNG, Selenium WebDriver, SVN, Perfecto Mobile, Maven. We have all that stuff. Now, we need all this stuff, and don't worry, I will describe to you what each of this does, all right? But this is kind of what we came up with, all right? So before we can actually even implement all this stuff, the first thing we have to look at is how are we going to do this, right? We got to look at the QA role and responsibility. Now, the reason for this is most people in QA are not technical. I hate to say it, all right? Most people in QA are not technical, all right? They usually come from either the business side, okay? So a lot of company does this. Hey, I need to test something. Hey, you're in the business. You know how the application should work. Come and help me test. And then when they build a QA team, guess what? That business tester become a QA person, all right? Or they come from customer support or one of those teams, right? Now, the problem with that is when you implement automation, if you don't have a technical background, it's going to be tough, right? Because you're not going to be able to say, hey, create a loop for me. And a business person, a loop? What is a loop, right? Oh, write an array. Array? What is an array? All right? So you got to know what you're building it for, all right? And then also, the type of testing you are doing within a sprint. Are you doing unit-level testing? Are you doing functional? Are you doing integration? The reason for that is different tool sets have different responsibilities. So if I need to do unit-level automation and I have Java, I would use JUnit, right? I wouldn't use Selenium, okay? Selenium is more of a UI tool, right? More for functional and integration testing, all right? Then you have to know about test environment, all right? Now, how many people here, their test environment, do they only have one test environment or many? Many? All right? So most companies have what? A dev environment, right? A QA environment at a minimum, and then an integration environment, and then sometime a staging environment, right? Now, do we want our automation to run in all those environments? If the answer is yes, I got to remember that when I built this thing. Make sense? Because you don't want to afterward say, oh, I want to run in staging. Say, oh, we don't support staging. All right? You got to give us all this more money. Actually, that's not a bad idea. Anyway, as a consultant, right? All right? We want to know that. All right? You also need to know a test data strategy. What is a test data strategy? How many people here have applications that basically can use the same data over and over again, or every time I do something, have to use unique data? Unique data, right? Same stuff? You're very lucky. I would like to work for your company. All right? Usually data, right, it's have to be unique. So for example, right, if you have an HR application, and I want to add somebody to that HR software, right? It's probably going to be your social security number. But once I add that person to the database, if I try to add it again, hopefully, right, the system should be smart enough to say, whoa, that person already exists in the system. We can't add them. Make sense? Okay? Now, if the system doesn't have that, you're going to get 2 paychecks, which is awesome. All right? Actually, I have a really funny story. I know we don't have much time. I have a really funny story. So I was testing an e-commerce application, right? And we're putting in all this product, okay? Like we're buying all this stuff, right? Someone forgot to turn off the feed to WMS live, okay? So we are putting all this order in, right? And then, luckily, the supervisor and the warehouse say, whoa, why is this? Why is this person keep ordering the same thing, 100 times, right? So luckily, that person hold off, right, and actually call back. Now, think about if that person was like, whatever, I'm going to fulfill it, the order, right? Think about real data or real product being shipped out. So after that, I changed all my automated script to go to my house, all right? Just in case it happened again, guess what? I'm going to get a lot of good stuff, all right? But that's the kind of things you want to think about, right? The things that you want to think about as far as test data-wise, okay? Do I have to come up with an algorithm to create data all the time, okay? And then level of testing, right? UI, backend, database. What am I testing here, all right? Application technology. Now, this is important, right? Because if you use open source, okay, most of the open source toolset will work great with web technologies, okay? It somewhat works with window technologies, but it's horrible working with packages technology. You know what I mean by package? SAP, PeopleSoft, right? E-Business Suite, okay? Those packages, there's not many open source tools that work with it, right? So you need to make sure that defect tracking, right? Why you want to make sure you have an understanding of defect tracking is because, remember, automation is an expense, okay? Right? I hate to say it, automation is a huge expense for most companies. And if you don't justify your existing, you're going to be gone very quickly, all right? Because if you come there and you say, yeah, I ran 10,000 tests, and then somebody say, how many defects have you found? I don't know. We know we ran 10,000 tests, okay? That will not help. Make sense? All right? And then again, coming back to QA resource skill set, all right? All right? Those are all the stuff that you need to consider, all right? So after we look at all these factors here, the next thing is we design this little thing here, okay? And what it is the execution is going to be managed by Jenkins, right? The test script is going to be run from TestNG. We're using page object model. Have you guys ever heard of that term? Page object model? Yay, okay? Page object model is nothing more than decomposing your application into pages and what you can do within that pages, all right? And you build the test by putting the pieces back together. Make sense? All right? We use ReportNG, and then we run it across desktop and mobile, okay? And then we use Selenium WebDriver with Maven and SVN. Now, we use Selenium here. Now, Selenium actually offers many different languages, okay? It offers support for Java, of course, right? C#, okay? It offers support for PHP somewhat, okay? Python, okay? Now, the problem with this is this. With an open source toolset, you want to select one with the biggest community, all right? And Java just happens to be the biggest community out there. Now, the reason for that is, let's say that I need to establish a connection to a database. Somebody probably have a sample code that you can cut and paste. I truly believe in cutting and pasting, just to let you guys know, right? I don't like reinventing the wheel, right? Now, if you are doing it in PHP, you might have to write the code, okay? Which can be very time-consuming. So from a Selenium standpoint, we always like to use either Java or C# because those two have the biggest community. Make sense? All right. And then from an execution standpoint, okay, we execute it, okay, using VM through either the browser, okay. We are using Selenium Grid, okay, to do that execution. And then also, we are executing it through the mobile, okay, mobile Safari browser and all that fun stuff. Any question? You guys seem bored. All right. I think, yep. Yep. So open source wide. So right now, Firefox 38 came out. Selenium doesn't run on it. It takes a while for the community to catch up. However, it supports usually one version back, and it usually takes about a month or two before the community have that support for the new one. Not only that, to be honest with you, Selenium, it's great with Firefox, but like with IE, with the number of security patches, it's a little bit buggy too, okay? Oh, yeah, Chrome is on there, okay? Well, I will show you what we actually run on, okay? Yeah, we have Chrome. This is just an example of the VM that we have to set up to run against it from a Selenium grid standpoint. On the mobile side, I'm a QA guy, right? And when you talk to QA people and you say, I'm going to test it on an emulator or simulator, we're like, no, we don't like that, right? The reason for that is it's not what the user is going to do, and a lot of the simulator emulator doesn't have the same hardware configuration that will give you a true test. Make sense? So we always like to run it against real device. Okay, good question. All right. Are you guys okay? You guys bored? Because I can deviate into the psychology part of it. All right. All right. So, question? So Selenium WebDriver, right? What is Selenium Web? How many people have heard of Selenium WebDriver? Yay! How many people use it? Yay! So I don't have to go into too much detail on this, right? So Selenium WebDriver, what it does is it interacts with browser objects, okay? Again, it works with both desktop browser and mobile browser, and it lets you navigate, sync, all that stuff, right? It have all these packages if you're working in Java to do that. Also, Selenium is really good with supporting in Ruby too, okay? So if you're a Ruby developer, it's pretty cool too. I work on projects that use Java a lot, Ruby and C# and PHP. PHP is the toughest one, okay? If you want to use Selenium WebDriver with PHP, okay? All right. Now, Jenkins, that's why we're here, right? We use Jenkins, all right? And we use Jenkins to manage the build process for the automation run, all right? We set up jobs within Jenkins that say this is a regression test, this is a smoke test. So we set up all this different type of tests inside there, okay? And we set up a prerequisite, a post-build activity that every time code is checked in after it's being built, the post-build activity is to run the smoke test. Remember I told you about the 20 smoke tests that we run? All right? It's a post-build activity for us. Make sense? So if the build is successful and the smoke test is successful, then the build is good, right? If the build failed, we don't even run the smoke test, okay? If the build is successful, we run the smoke test fail, then we're going to do analysis to see if it's still a go or no go. Make sense? So again, what we did is we used the developer Jenkins, okay, Jenkins instance, and we just add our stuff to it, all right? It's really cool, actually. Now, unfortunately, I can't show you the client itself, but I'll show you a demo in just a second, all right? We also use it for on-demand execution, right? So a lot of time, if we have failure, right, we just use it and say, kick off this build, and then what it does is it re-execute a lot of the tests, all right? It helps us maintain build history and report. Now, this is really important because, again, in QA, you will always be asked, hey, you said it passed, right, 3 builds ago, but the defect we found in 3 builds, what happened, right? We want to keep that history, okay? And also, it let us integrate with the existing continuous integration process, all right? So basically, we use it for this. We use it for schedule execution. So we actually set up schedule execution that it doesn't matter if there's any change or not, all right? Once a day, we will run what we call a partial regression, okay? And then we have the trigger execution, which is anytime developer check in code, it runs the smoke test. And then we have what we call the on-demand, right? So usually, like, you know how after the sprint, everybody combine the code, we'll run what we call full regression on demand, okay? All right, what else we have? We have TestNG. How many people have heard of TestNG? All right, awesome. TestNG, basically, it helps you manage test flow, okay? It facilitates test setup and teardown, and it also you can group it in different suites. The biggest thing, like when you use Selenium, you can use JUnit to run it too, okay? The biggest difference between JUnit and TestNG, TestNG allow you to run it in parallel, which is a big, big advantage, right? Because I don't want to run it single-threaded, right? I don't want to have 300 tests running only on IE, right? When IE finished, kick off Firefox. I wanted to say, hey, if you have the resources, run it in IE, run it in Firefox, run it on this, run on this, run on this. And the demo, I'm going to show you that. Make sense?
How does TestNG relate to Selenium?
So Selenium is just, if you think of Selenium as the engine that interacts with the object from a browser, okay? TestNG doesn't do that. TestNG manages the tests that Selenium create. You see what I'm saying? So I can say, TestNG, go run me this test. TestNG, go run me this test. TestNG, it's more of like a test management aspect. When you do performance testing, you're talking about hundreds and hundreds of virtual users, right? Even with TestNG, you don't want to increase the thread count to more than 20, 30, unless you have a super computer with 100 VM, right? So some company actually use SourceLab. Have you guys ever heard of SourceLab? Or Amazon Elastic Computing? Okay? What it does is it built virtual machine for you, and you send the test up there, it runs it, and then it downloads the result for you, right? In that case, you might be able to do some performance tests, but usually in a performance testing, we use what we call virtual user, right? We just send the protocol IP call, right, and then get it back. You see what I'm saying? So I would not classify this as performance. However, you can do what we call standard service level agreement. What I mean by that is if you have a website, right, and a business comes to you and say, login should take no longer than 10 seconds, okay? So I'm going to put the timeout in my script to be 10 seconds for login, right? If it takes 11 seconds, I want the script to fail. You see what I'm saying? Now, because I haven't met my service level agreement from, it doesn't matter if it's 1 user or 1,000 users, right? If it's more than 10 seconds, I should fail. Make sense? So I can do what we call ad hoc performance testing. But not true, true performance testing is no one is on the system. I sent 10 virtual users, here's my result. I sent 100 virtual users, here's my result. You see what I'm saying? I can correlate the data, right? But if I run automation, I can't, right? I don't know if there's 80 manual testers banging at the system, and then I added a few more and it blow up. Make sense? Okay, that's a good question, all right? Page object model. What is page object model? All it does is basically we divide or we break down the application into pages. So if it's Amazon, I have a search page, right? I have the product detail page, right? I have the navigation page. I have the whatever page, right? The add to cart page, all right? And then what you do is inside that page, you tell what that page can do, right? So if it's login page, I can type in username, password, okay? I can type in the wrong username, right? The right password. You see what I'm saying? I put the combination of what I can test inside that page class, all right? All the methods within it, okay? And it gives you the variation, difference in practice between mobile and automation. So it gives you the ability to do that. Now, I didn't mention this, but go ahead. Single page application, but everything gets dynamically generated in that single page, then I would still break it down on a page, but more of the dynamic page, right? So even though it's the dynamic page, it still have page name, right? It's going to traverse. Make sense? It's still going to be a page object. Page object model is a really simple concept, right? But it gives you that reusability. Because think about it, right? When you test, how many times you log in? Every test to get to a certain place, right? Why do you want to code up that 3-4 line in every test? You code it at one time, you just call that class and method. Make sense? Okay? It gains a lot of reusability from it. All right? Now, what is Spring? Spring is a free framework. It's really cool because what you realize is, remember I told you about responsive web design? You guys remember that? Okay? Responsive web design say that, hey, the web page should be the same, right? On desktop and mobile. Reality is, it's not always 100% the same. Now, what I mean by that is, on desktop, you have much more space, right? Much bigger canvas. So like, for example, the top navigation, it displays. On mobile, you will see the 3 line. You have to click on that 3 line to display the menu item, okay? So there's differences. Now, how do we account for those differences? We actually use this thing called Sprint, okay? Sprint will let us load different page object dynamically. So if I'm running on mobile, I'm gonna load a different page to do navigation than I would do it on desktop browser. Make sense? Okay? So this is actually a really cool framework that you can download. Again, all this is kind of free, all right? For responsive web design, the navigation does change, but most other stuff is actually pretty good. Like for example, when you talk about the detailed information, usually for mobile and desktop is similar. And also, if you work on tablet and desktop, there's very little differences, okay? The biggest difference is your smart mobile device, right? Like your phone, okay? Not only that, it varies between phone and phone, all right? I mean, you guys seen the iPhone 6 Plus, right? It's almost a tablet now, okay? So that display is also different between a 6 and a 6 Plus. All right? ReportNG, it let us report, okay? And it's color-coded and it's all that fun stuff. It's from a reporting standpoint. This is really important because, again, you got to know what passed, what failed, and stuff like that. For this project, we use ReportNG. The demo I'm going to show you, oh my God, all right? The demo I'm going to show you, we're going to use a package called Allure, and it have a little bit nicer, right? So there's a lot of reporting framework that you can integrate, okay? And then we also use Perfecto, all right? And the reason we use Perfecto is, well, they have a booth right outside our room. That's one, right? The other reason is it is real device, okay? And that's really important from a testing perspective. We are testing real device, okay? Now, they are cloud-based. So the device, 2 minutes? That's it? You're kidding me. Oh my God. All right, Perfecto, all right? They're outside, you need more information, just go talk to them. Oh my God, somebody's clapping already, all right? I want to run through this really quick. We automated 300 tests. 20 test case steps, all this stuff divided in priority. I'm not even telling tons of story in this session here, and I'm running out of time. And we're running against 8 desktop browser, okay? So you can see all the different browser, and then also 8 different mobile devices. And for each full regression, we're actually running 4,800 instances, okay? 16 browser times 300, all right? All right, let me show you the demo real quick here. All right, so I have, now this is not this project here, it's just something I created, all right? I have a project in here, and it's gonna run against different environment here using TestNG, okay? So you can see that it's using different tests. Oops, come on. All right, so I have different environment here. So Samsung Galaxy 5, iPhone 6, IE 11, all that stuff. I added to Jenkins, and I'm gonna run a build, all right? And you can see here, all right, it kicked off the build, okay? Oh, sorry. I don't want you guys to see it anyway. All right, so you can see we kick it off. All right, now I gotta look here. All right, come on, click on it, open it. All right, and it's actually start running right now. And you say the test is running. All right, the internet is a little bit slow here. All right, what I want to show you guys, is that, let me go back. All right, is if I go back again, all right, and I'm gonna click on this thing. All right, oops, that's TestNG, sorry. I want to show you the lore report. Yeah, where's my lore report? Yeah, it's creating the lore report right now. But you can see how it's running on desktop and mobile right now. Okay? So, whoa, look at that. So you can see how we found a defect. You see how there's a pop-up now? It's really weird. You see that? So it's actually good because it actually fell based on that, because with iOS, you can see how there's an extra thing now, right, for that. And now the test is going to fail. Okay? For Samsung, it's running fine. Make sense? Okay. Yep, on the cloud. Any questions, guys? If you want to see this really, I can show it to you. I didn't know it was that fast. All right, thank you, guys.